Hi, welcome to Inside the Moms Club, where being a mom is the coolest place to be. Here in the Moms Club, we believe that what embarrasses you now will make a great story later. And let's face it, you don't laugh sometimes, you're gonna cry. Join us in having a good laugh together. I'm Monica Samuels. You are now inside the Moms Club, your private destination for all things mom. Hi, moms. Welcome to Inside the Moms Club. I'm your host, Monica Samuels, and I am here with my co-host, Julie Orton.
Hi, happy 24.
Happy. So I have been busy. We started, and this was all Julie's idea, that we take guitar lessons together.
Yeah.
And that was her idea. But I'm the one that's been taking the initiative.
Yes.
So I just want to update you.
I just said it was an idea.
I'm going to update you. So I went to the music store.
Oh, gosh.
And I already have a guitar. So I got a new pick. That's like, I got like a thumb thing. Because I used to be back in the day, I played the guitar once as a kid. And picks would fly everywhere. So I got a thumb pick. And I got something to test. Did you make sure I'm in the right key? Whatever the
yes. I don't know yet. I haven't taken the lesson.
So I go to the checkout at this big music store where they have music lessons. It has everything. And I tell the guy, my friend and I are going to take guitar lessons. But I'd always wanted to, for some reason, wanted to play the banjo. I don't know why.
I don't either. But go ahead.
So I mentioned to him, I said, I kind of would like to take the banjo. And he looked at me in the nicest way possible, was basically saying, lady, I don't think you're going to live long enough to play the banjo. So let's try to stick with this guitar thing. And so then I said, okay, well, I know you have lessons and we want to take lessons. And he kind of looked at me and said, well, we have some great music books I could sell you and you can learn to play the guitar on YouTube.
I think he was blowing you off a little bit. I feel like that was happening.
I feel like are we not worthy students?
I don't know. I feel like we've done our fair share of music. We've done a million concerts last year.
Exactly. Yeah,
we're on our way to see you two at the Sphere. We're very
going
excited.
To the Sphere in 2 days. We're very excited about that.
So yeah, we've done our fair share.
You've played instruments, right?
I've played the flute. I have played the piano. And that's it. And then soon to be the guitar. But I think we don't do it because we're afraid, because people put fear in us. They're not encouraging.
Now, I guess if you knew my music history, you might not be encouraged, because I did take the piano at my parents' insistence, and that didn't quite go well. And then I took the violin.
Oop.
And if you like a lot of squeaking sounds, if you're into that, I'm the person you want to invite to your next concert.
Yeah.
And then I took the guitar, and that was okay. I like it. I like the guitar.
Listen, it's kind of similar to I don't cook, but I can sit in the kitchen and talk to you. So maybe if we just go to concerts and keep up with that.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
I still want to do the guitar.
All right, we'll do it.
We may have to do it on YouTube. I feel like I don't know.
We're going to do it in Austin. We lived in Austin.
Teach us.
Yeah. We're all in.
But we got to, And then someday on this show, we're going to play the guitar.
Yeah. But we have experts here today.
And I really feel challenged. I'd also kind of like to play the banjo. Maybe we'll play dueling banjos.
Oh, God.
That's a guitar
I'm out.
and banjo.
See, sometimes I have to squash the ideas.
Is that me being too ambitious?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay. Well, anyway, I'm still in. So I just wanted you to know I'm still all in on that.
I'm sorry you had that experience of someone not believing in you.
Yeah.
But I think that,
Ladies, never give up.
Yeah.
Never give up. And so did you ever make your kids play an instrument?
Oh, definitely. I try to make my kids do all kinds of things, but
So what do they play?
Kids have gotten a lot stronger willed, I feel like,
Did they play anything?
We had a piano for a while and a keyboard, and they did a little bit of that. But they really went down the acting hole,
that's true.
So, which
your
I like.
Daughters are great actors and actresses, yes.
Sometimes.
Well,
they're good. They're good.
Yeah. Well, my oldest son, I really love the saxophone, so I made him play that. And he did it for several years until finally his music teacher came to me and said, Monica, I've heard him play the drums, and I've heard him play the saxophone. I think you should get more drum lessons. So that was the end of the saxophone, but he's a good drummer.
Well, you could if he doesn't get a job after he graduates, he could pursue that.
This is the other son.
Oh,
he's been playing drums for years. Okay. Oh my gosh, we paid for drum. We accidentally paid for drum lessons until he was like 25 years old. We didn't realize that it still on our credit card.
Yeah.
Yes. So he's really good. We're kind of wondering, how many lessons do you still need?
But, yeah, exactly.
Well, we are very, very lucky, Julie, that here in our studio is a mother and daughter duo who have been extremely successful in the music business. I'll tell you a little bit about them. Mm-hmm. The mom is a Grammy Award-winning artist, composer, and producer. Her first big gig in the music industry was as a keyboardist for the house band in the Arsenio Hall show. She was invited to play at the inauguration of President Bill Clinton, so we'll have to ask her about that. And then she has scored hundreds of episodes for TV and film. Please welcome Starr Parodi to the Moms Club. Welcome, Starr. And her daughter is a singer, songwriter, violinist, and burgeoning fashion designer. No. By the age of 13, she sang and performed for 3,000 people at Lincoln Center in New York City for a song she co-wrote called To All the Little Girls, which was inspired by Hillary Clinton's concession speech. Yeah. At the age of 16, she became a Grammy Award-winning artist thanks to her song Rise Until We Stand. And weeks later, BMI honored her with its Impact Award. And she's soon to release her single Strip Away, which she composed and co-produced. Please welcome Isolde Fair. Welcome to the Moms Club.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
Ladies, welcome. Well, we are so excited to have you. We always love to have a mom and a daughter or a mom and a son because it's always nice to get the perspective. We only hear the perspective from the children's side, from our children when they do things like my son saw an Instagram post and he commented on it and said, I think I have a defamation suit here. And I
kidding me?
And I said, truth is a defense. Once you go to law school, you realize that's the case. But so we like to hear, how it all how it works between you. And you guys collaborate and work together. So you're a good team. Well, let's start where it began, because Starr, you have been in the business for a long time.
Yes.
And tell us how it all started. I mean, obviously you were much more successful at playing musical instruments than Julie or I, which I'm sure we have other talents, but tell us your story.
It's so funny that you were saying that you were forcing your kids to take lessons, because my mom, when I was very young, she said, you have to take piano lessons. And I literally took piano lessons for a year. And my teacher was an alcoholic and threw a book at me. and I just I hated piano so much that I literally came back and I made my mom sign a contract saying that I never had to play piano again.
Oh, wow.
Wait, really?
Yes, really.
I didn't know that. I did not know that.
Yeah. I love what you're learning.
You know that was an option back in the day.
Well, I mean.
But, after that, when I was about 14, I picked it up again. I went to a party at I went to a party at a college dorm.
Which your mom didn't know.
Which my mom, of course, didn't know about.
Of course not.
And this guy had a Fender Rhodes piano there, and he just showed me a few things, and I picked it up kind of quickly. And he said, "Oh, you should play piano." And I thought, yeah, I should play piano. And I started, it just became kind of a very much a focal point in my life. And I started to practice hours and hours every day. And because I had such a late start, so many people like Isolde, they start when they're 4 or 5 years old,
Well, you helped me with that part.
Yeah.
I mean, you were more encouraging.
Yeah. Throw anything at
No, definitely not. That was the actual teacher itself. Oh, that's another story.
Yeah.
But so, I took lessons. I found some teachers. I practiced really hard. I got into Interlochen, which is,
Georgia
a music school.
Yeah.
And I wasn't good enough to get in for piano, so I got in for creative writing. And then when I was there, I practiced 7-8 hours every single day.
Oh my gosh.
And I just said, this is what I want to do. And when I came back, I got an apartment and I went to college for a couple of years, lived with friends, practiced, played with everybody I could, played with as many good people as the better people that you can play with, you really learn and grow from that. So I was just always jamming and looking for gigs and playing. And then I started writing, and, you know, things just kind of went on from there. But that was the beginnings.
Now, I heard you in an interview somewhere. So your first gig that was with the Chippendale dancer party?
Oh my God. Yes.
I mean, maybe she doesn't know this story either.
No, sorry. I do not know this story.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's fine. I love learning new things about my mom. This is the only time she gets to talk about it.
Because sometimes there's this struggle to, you know, make it, and you do something like encouraging the artists out there. It's not all Carnegie Hall.
Well, you know, I just took every gig I could, but the very first gig I got called, I just didn't even barely know how to play, you know, but I had some friends that were in bands that were good, and they would, you know, they were just, anyway, they called me. And when I showed up at this house, it was for a party, and this lady that answered the door didn't have a top on. And I was like, what am I getting into?
It's that kind of party. Yeah.
And then, you know, it was just a, you know, a gig where you just play some songs or whatever. But there were some Chippendales dancers dancing too.
Hilarious.
And I was like, oh my gosh.
Wow.
It was hysterical. But, you know, I have a ton of stories like that.
But you kept on going. And so the Arsenio House show, how did that come about?
Well, there's a few steps to there. Yeah. There's, you know, a ton of practicing, a ton of playing weddings, and, you know, every kind of event, and some little clubs and stuff like that. And then I got this random call to play on Fame. And so I never knew who told them about me, but they called me and they said, do you think a girl, you know, anyone would believe that a girl could play keyboards? And I said, yes, I think so. And so I ended up being a sideline musician on Fame, and then touring with their live band. And then I ended up writing some songs with Maureen Crow, who was, she's a very prominent music supervisor now and wonderful. At the time, that was her first gig. So we wrote a song for Janet Jackson, who was on the show at the time.
Oh my gosh.
And did a bunch of stuff. And then after that was the Arsenio show. I auditioned, and, you know, so fortunate to get the gig.
I mean, your mom is so cool.
I mean, it is cool.
I mean,
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
I was like,
that.
when did you know she was so talented? Gifted?
How did I know that she was talented? Well, I mean, I think it took me a few years to, you know, because I came out of her womb. I was born, and I did not know how to talk nor do anything besides, you know, live in a studio my whole life. Yeah. You know, and I grew up, I remember, I'd say my first really like massive memory being in the studio was I loved to sleep under the console. We had this SSL TS24 console, and they'd be working very late, and I'd just want to just like cuddle under there. Yeah. It was not even that cuddly. It was a bunch of just like tech and you know, cables and like dangerous stuff that I wouldn't really want to play with. But I was kind of like the opposite, you know. Younger kids would like to go on the monkey bars or go down a slide, and me, I would love to hang out with the cables and
I like that.
Crazy mics. That was about it. But I remember she has this gold record, and she did a trailer. She did the music for the trailer for GoldenEye.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how big that was, and I started at a young age kind of understanding who Bond was and the Bond films, and I didn't really know how big the franchise was until later on. And I always saw that gold record, you know, in the studio, and I'm like, I didn't know what that means, or RIAA, what is that? What is that? I had no clue. And so, you know, I think I was around like age 5 or 6 when everybody was like the Bond films, and you know, even for me, I was into more adult films. Like I wasn't the girl watching G films, I was the girl watching PG-13. You know, just like no, and that's totally
at
fine.
5 years old, are we?
I became an adult by that.
Yeah.
But that's because that's what my parents were working on. You know, it was I you know, I mean, there's times where I'd watch like the Teletubbies, like that was a fond memory as a kid in the early 2000s.
Yes.
Loved watching the Teletubbies. There was like Sprout. I don't know if that still even exists, but it was so good. And like Baby Einstein was so cute. Reminiscing.
Everybody on this show today knows exactly what I'm talking about.
The little kid era. That was, and watching a lot of like Disney movies, like Disney princesses, you know. But besides that, like, I was really into whatever they were doing, you know, and then they started doing a lot of animated series for Hasbro, and they did like Transformers Rescue Bots and G.I. Joe, and again, that wasn't for a 5 or 6 year old, but it was still something really cool, and I really got into that type of animation. And then, then I, one day looked on their website, and I was like, oh, they have some cool stuff.
Yeah,
like, I didn't know.
They're pretty cool.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, they just would never tell me because they were so focused on whatever project they were working on. So I was like, one day, they're like, we're working on our website. And I was like, one day I was at school, and I was like, I'm going to go on the school computer and, like, see what they're up to.
See who they are.
See who they are.
But you're so talented yourself. And I want to know, like, last night when I got out, I was very tired on this flight. And I played your video, Rise Until We Stand. And I wasn't expecting to drop a tear or two. Aww. You have a very deeply moving voice. Like, I always shut my eyes when I listen, this is why I like that show, The Voice, because you don't, and then I opened and I get to see how talented you are. So when do the lyrics come to you? Is it in the middle of the night? Is it, where you have to stop and get up? And when you think of these creative visions, because you're doing something that women your age, that you're lifting them up. You're saying, let's not lose hope. You guys have been through a lot. You've been through COVID. You've been, to art schools. And I just want to know, like, when this inspiration comes to you. Because
I felt like that song too. It spoke to the whole generation.
Yeah.
I mean, so many kids, our kids are about your age.
Yeah.
And going through COVID, the whole world went through a crisis. But that's a difficult time to go through that kind of crisis.
And pressure
to
of college.
Have
and
some
pressure of high
inspiration.
school.
Like, if for those of you out there who haven't listened to it, you should. I even downloaded it. It's really, really good. So, where did that inspiration come from?
Well, it was really funny because I think I was 14 when I first started writing it. It was after the whole Hillary concession speech viral sensation thing happened. And of course I was a 13-year-old, like typically 13-year-olds, during their spring break, they'd go swim at the pool, which I wanted to do. And I wanted to go hang out with my friends. But, there was one moment where, like, they were like, what are you doing for spring break? And I was like, oh, well, I'm going to New York. And they're like, what are you doing in New York? And you're like, playing in front of 3,000 people. Fun stuff, and then I come back home and they're like, how was it? And then you're like, you're trying not to name draw because, you're trying to, like, be a normal child, whatever that means. But it's funny because I just remember at that time in my life, I was also playing violin for a significant amount of years. And it was something that I loved, but I was with a teacher who wasn't giving me the opportunities that I wanted. Like, she would put all the other kids in front of an audience and they'd be in gowns and they'd be playing all the recitals, and I'd play like one recital and I wasn't wearing the gown or whatever, and I kind of like, I really admired this one violinist named Sarah Chang. Ooh. And she was so good. And also, like, the sweetest person. Like, that's so rare to find in the classical industry. Like, but I remember meeting her. I met her twice. And the first time I looked all like, I was a 5th grader coming back from a party, I think. And I was like, I met her and I was like, the picture didn't look good, But I remember the second time I met her, I was wearing actually my mom's old honeymoon dress. And it was so gorgeous. I think I was I was trying to impress a boy, and because he wasn't talking to me at the time, and I was like, I'm going to wear my mom's honeymoon dress and he's going to be regretting his life, And I just remember my friend was taking photos of me. We were at UCLA before the concert started. Sarah Chang was going to play with this incredible orchestra called AYS, American Youth Symphony. And so she was debuting like a solo piece with them. And anyways, I was just like so excited. But I remember my friend and I were taking photos beforehand, and I saw him and I went, like flipping the hair. It was hilarious. Oh my God. But, I loved her, and I just, I loved violin. And then I remember I got introduced to Lindsay Sterling, who was also somebody completely different, but somebody that I think inspired me so much to kind of do something different and I realized that I wasn't meant for the ball gown. I wasn't meant to play the solo pieces that I actually didn't care for.
Yeah.
You know, like I was meant to do something else with the violin, and I loved singing. That was something that I started at a very young age, and then I had piano lessons with an incredible teacher that she's like one of my best friends and mentors, and like we talk with each other like almost every week, and you know, she was like my first co-writer when it comes to writing songs, and she taught me how to write songs. And
you are amazing. And go back a little bit to the Hillary Clinton consent. Was that a contest? When you see it online, it suggests that it was something that was offered to all the students to come up with, and yours was chosen. Is that right?
So
how did that come about?
So my friends and I, we were all in a music theory class at this music school, and we had a very quirky teacher, but she was so sweet, and she made like the best chocolate chip cookies. Besides the
I love what you remember.
Those are the good things about her that I loved. But it was me and a group of girls, and every Saturday, like around noon, we'd sit in this like empty office space with like a massive table, and there'd be a whiteboard, and they'd be writing down notation about music theory, things that we were doing. And I never did any of these assignments. It was not something that I liked to do. Music theory wasn't really my strong suit, I believe. Like my stronger suit was writing and singing and doing all of that, like actually playing the music without learning about what it meant. And I think now it makes more sense why we had to learn about that. But again, like I would never do the assignments. And I remember the teacher, she was like, oh, so she was devastated about the whole election.
As a lot of people were.
And at the time, like in middle school, we were like writing, you know, reports about it because it was something that was so historically I don't know. It was a highlight in history, I guess, and something that I didn't care for at the time. It was whatever, but we were doing assignments on that for history class, and then I remember going back to the music theory class. The teacher came in this one Saturday, and it was after the election, and she had like a black outfit on, and she was so dramatic, and she was like, she had printed pieces of paper that had the words for Hillary Clinton's concession speech on them. And she was just passing them so dramatically around the room. And she was like,
in mourning. She was wearing.
She was in mourning, you know? And she was like, I want you guys to do an assignment this week. I thought I wasn't going to give you an assignment, but we're going to do an assignment. And you can either do a poem or make a play or do whatever expresses yourself, you know, in whatever way. But just use these words. And of course, my friends and I, we were like debating about it. They're like, are you going to do it? And I'm like, I don't know, you know? And so next week I had like a melody idea for the pieces of, you know,
and do you play this for your mom? Like, where does mom come into the picture of like you testing it?
Yes. So we had a moment. So I got the paper, came home, I had a melody. And this was at a time where I was still so new to songwriting. Like I had only been literally professionally writing songs for like 3-4 years, you know, something that was fairly new.
Right, at the ripe old age
you're
of
13.
13.
I was 13. I started when I was 9 writing songs.
For a minute and just put you in the company of some great teenage composers. I mean, like Mozart, Schubert, Mendelssohn. The only thing I don't recommend that you rent Amadeus and watch it, because that didn't end so well.
I know. I loved it though.
I put you in like that company. I mean, you're talking like 3 years ago. 3 years, I was 10. You know. Okay, so you end up at Lincoln Center. You write this, and it's performed at Lincoln Center.
So this is where my mom comes into the picture. So
Only
I came up.
once.
This is the first time where, you know, I think I was
like interjections when you
say something.
No. Well, the teacher, I remember her telling me that she did the assignment and mentioned, you know, having the kids write a song, but she actually did it because she knew that the only kid that was going to write the song would be Isolde. So
I didn't know that.
So she was like, I think she's going to write a song. So that's why she gave the assignment.
That's an excellent way to work with children. Like get them to like, you know what I mean? And
do what they love.
Yeah. And then they get to produce. So tell us about the song that's coming out.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I want to hear what that's about and how much your violin. I haven't had a chance to.
Well,
I figured it was.
Segueing back to the Hillary Clinton concession speech, anyways, so I brought the melody idea to my mom. I'm like, I like this melody idea, but I don't know how to write chords yet. I didn't know how to write chords. I knew how to play chords on my own, but not really write a full song without help. Yeah. You know, and that was, you know, because I was still starting. And Mama was like, what about these chords? And she started playing them. I'm like, oh, I love that. And then, you know, and then I started singing over it. And then anyways, we kind of made like a demo version of the song. And next week, I played it on the piano and I sang it to the class. And the teacher, thank the Lord, she wasn't wearing black anymore. She was like, this is it. We need to do a music video and we need to bring in a full orchestra and we need everybody in the school to be a part of this music video. And we're like, okay.
Interjection.
Tell me.
This would be perfect for your parents to write a string arrangement for our string class because it was a string school. So they wanted to bring in the string students.
Yes.
They want to write an arrangement and have the string students play it.
So that was a part of it. So it was kind of like a whole family affair.
Yes.
And we had a moment where like, wait, this is so cool. Like I was in middle school and, you know, we'd be, you know, whenever we got a good grade, we get like donuts from like Krispy Kreme. They give out like free, speaking
to my heart.
You know, that's how it was. And I remember this one day, my dad and I were at Krispy Kreme, and he's like, you know, I think we're gonna do a new music video next week with this guy named Terry Sanders. I think he was like an Oscar-winning, director for a documentary. I'm like, no way, like what? What? People think of like this song highly? Like I had no clue, you know. And then we did the music video.
Interjection.
She's always gonna say something new at this point.
The music teacher that gave her the assignment, her really good friend was Terry Sanders, and he is an Oscar-winning director. And his wife, Frida Lee Mock, is also a friend of mine, but not at the time wasn't a good friend, just some an acquaintance through the industry friend. And so she said, hey, why don't you have Terry come over? Film the girls playing the strings, film Isolde singing, and just have it be a fun thing for the school. So that was how that worked.
So it was incredible. Again, my definition of like what I was going through was so different because you knew more about everything happening. I mean, she was more like the coordinator for everything, and I was more of like,
that's what we do. We're professional coordinators.
That's how my son got to play baseball in college for a year.
I love that. You know what? It's all because of the moms. You know, it really is.
And now my mom right there.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes.
And actually, thank you.
That's really sweet. I learned so much from her too. So.
That is so
they are our biggest teachers.
Yeah.
Well, so a lot of moms out there, because like I said, I got my son to baseball. So a lot of moms out there, they want an Isolde.
Oh, I'm praying.
But she's not up for adoption. So how did you feel like you supported her? I mean, obviously you supported her by doing some of these things, but staying, you have to play the violin. Trust me, I know. It's not easy. It takes dedication. If you get discouraged on that one, it's
how did you parent?
Yeah, how did you
like
do
this?
So okay, you know what? This actually goes.
She's going to interject.
I'm sorry.
Okay, interject.
Because I think you saw this a different way than I did.
Sure I did.
So we were in the car one day, and you asked me, you're like, "What instrument do you want to play?" And I was like, banjo.
That's why.
Oh my God!
I was wrong.
I was wrong.
So
see,
but I was
vindicated here.
But again, nobody can really trust a 3-year-old with a banjo.
No, that's true.
So and at the point, I didn't know like how to pick up a banjo. Anyways, my mom was like, pick a different instrument. And I was like, and I didn't know, I was like, well, maybe piano too. Maybe I'll play piano and like maybe a string instrument because I don't want to be playing like a French horn and where my lips are going to be like ginormous and like 2-hour practices and I'm going to be like out of breath every time. I was like, no. I remember just, again, growing up in a lot of sessions with my parents and there was always like string sessions and like quartets would come in and I was like, oh, what is that beautiful sound? It sounds sounds like a violin, but maybe it could be a cello. Like, I don't know. And then I think it was the sound of a cello, but the look of the violin. So it's like, I didn't know the difference. And because the violin looked a lot easier than putting a thing between your thighs, and playing some weird way, I really loved the violin. And I was like, what about violin? And you're like, I don't know about that. So I begged them for a year.
So not true.
No. I have a begging.
I can't wait to hear the other side of the story,
right? Yeah.
I know your version.
I love it. But in my career, I'm a lawyer, and I can tell you this is how this happened.
Yeah.
Story, and you got your story. So we'll finish.
Go ahead.
Okay. Sounds good. I remember when I had to beg you for like a year. You know. No, you told me. You told me that this is, that it was, anyways, I did have to beg for a year, and then
Not true.
You found a great teacher.
I did.
You did.
Took me a year to find one. I would teach you.
A decently great teacher. That's other story where... Anyways, but she, I had a fun time, I think, at the beginning of my journey with violin, and I had a tiny little violin, and the case was bejeweled. It had like diamonds on it, whatever, like fake diamonds, obviously.
Yeah.
But, I think from that point, that's when I really started loving the violin, and
Well, you're a joy to watch. I love watching your videos, and when you do them in your room, it's very cool. I like that. And also the fashion.
Oh.
Listen. She, hands down, these red gloves you have on today are fire.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, we have a group of moms out there who also want to ask you ladies some questions, and they are our Zoomer moms. So let's welcome the Zoomer moms. Welcome to the Moms Club, ladies.
Hi.
This is such a fun conversation, and I want to introduce each of the Zoomer moms. And just as I introduce you, tell the ladies a little bit about yourself and ask a question. So, Lisa, welcome to the Moms Club. Do you have a question for Starr and Isolde?
Thanks for having me. This is so fun. So this is directed towards Starr. So when you start to compose music for a movie or a show, when you're hired to do that, tell us a little bit about how do you begin getting inspiration? Where do you start?
Oh, man. Well, I have a really special piano. It's a 1928 Steinway B, and it was rumored to be the piano that was on the soundstage of MGM for The Wizard of Oz that it was recorded on.
Oh, wow.
It's really cool. And it still has the MGM tag on it. And I just kind of empty my mind and sit at the piano, even if there's no piano in the score. And I just kind of try to kind of connect with whatever comes in, and then I just start watching the film and looking at it, without music and seeing kind of what characters there are. Maybe sometimes there's even characters that aren't people, but there's maybe a town that's a character or a house that's a character or whatever. And then I start thinking about themes, and I just start coming up with ideas and writing. And I try to not have any judgment when I do that. And I'm so lucky. I work a lot with my husband, and because we know each other so well, I don't feel that pressure of, oh my gosh, I suck. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I know that I'll just be able to play anything. And sometimes you run across something that's just, you feel like, oh, this is right. And then you just go with it, and you try not to judge it, and just kind of run with your ideas, because there's really no time to overthink when you're on a deadline for a show.
Yeah. Lisa her daughter is at USC in theater. And so she's getting to come to California a lot. So I know she gets to share your story and,
It's amazing.
See how the creativity sparks.
Yeah.
I love USC.
Janine, welcome to the Moms Club. Do you have a question?
Hi. Oh, I do. And thank you so much. This is a lot of fun. I think within every household, there's going to be hustle, bustle, busyness, and just trying to stay on top of things. How do you guys, as a family, when it's just that basic fundamental core group in your house? How do you all handle boundaries and the respect of boundaries?
Starr, would you like her to answer that question?
Who wants to take this question?
Oh, boundaries.
There's no such thing as that in our family. It's like,
I mean, that you all work so much together, but then you also have your private,
basically, she wants to know,
under the same roof.
Do you like each other at the end of the day?
Well, I mean, yes, but of course there's going to be bumps. It's, I think growing up as a kid, I was an only child, so I didn't really understand. Thank the Lord. Even though, hey, I would love
Newsflash, you still are.
Still am. But, and my cousins kind of have become more of like my brothers and sisters, through family but more like distant family, but I love them. They're, I think our family dynamic, it's really interesting because of course we're always going to be having like crazy ideas in our head, and we really talk about, only talk about, just like music. Yeah. That's all we really talk about. There's times where it's rare to have a conversation about food because it's like
we talk about
yeah, but like music is the main conversation in our everyday lives.
You know what? I think we help each other a lot, and then we, for instance, sometimes you need help from me or from your dad. Sometimes we ask you to play on stuff for us, or we'll say, what do you think about this? Do you like this? Because I just so value her opinion because she's got such a great ear, or what do you think about this that I'm wearing? And she'll be like, try this or try this, So
even today,
I mean, even today,
but hey, it's a good thing. I like being with her.
I think, we love being with each other. We have a studio that's separate from the house, so we can kind of get away from each other. And she has a studio in her room, which is kind of cool. But we don't have a huge house. So, we are a little bit on top of each other a lot of times. And so we take lots of walks.
Yeah, we do. And separate walks. And then sometimes we have like conjoined walks.
Yeah. But I think we really try to keep the lines of communication open. Yeah. And sometimes we do kind of, get a little bit like we have to get away from each other,
Very true.
But I think that the busyness that you might be talking about, I don't know if this is true, but like when you have a child in school, there's so much going on, right? Because there's homework and there's after school activities and all that kind of stuff. So that was really hard to navigate because, with the pandemic and, online school, and then she was doing homeschool for a while because she was, performing and practicing all the time and writing and stuff. So we were working with her a lot, and it was kind of stressful actually, and then there's the whole, kind of pall of, is her school going to be shut down because of a threat, which has happened on many occasions for her. Yeah. So there's also that underlying feeling of just stress and stuff like that too. Yeah. So I think it's just something that you have to kind of, it's just kind of a united front. Like, okay, we're going to get through this and we're going to do this and it's going to be great.
Yeah. And it's going to be great.
We're going to make it happen.
It seems great.
It's a good question.
Yeah. Dolores, do you have a question?
I do have a question. In a former life, I was a public school teacher, and one of your comments really struck me, and that was that one of the recitals, you didn't have the proper gown. Yeah. And I was just wondering what your recommendations, if you have recommendations or insights on public schools, and I know private schools have a lot more choices sometimes than public, but about music and what we should be doing.
So actually, this is a really good topic because I was at a private school for 5 years. 5 years of my life. I went to a private preschool and a private elementary school, and I actually didn't really care for the elementary school that I went to. It was very small. And for me, I couldn't really work one-on-one with people, even though I loved my teachers and I still love them to this day. It was more of the kids. And, and again, like when you're in a group of, 12 girls and 10 boys, it's just like, that's not enough, Yeah. And I had a best friend, I was around 9 years old, and of course I wasn't friends with many girls in my grade. Like, they were just, girls.
They could be cutthroat.
They could be cutthroat bullies, you know? And that's kind of what I was experiencing in private school. And I remember, like with this best friend, like they were just trying to like integrate themselves into our lives. And I mean, it's so hard, especially when you live in a really small part of LA that it's in between Santa Monica and Malibu, and nobody really knows about it besides some people, but it's, when you're in a small environment, all you can do is like, I don't know how to get out of this. Yeah. And then I remember I was in 4th grade and I was really begging my parents. I was like, I really want to go to public school. And I loved public school. I remember the last day at private school, I'm like, you guys, I believe in you for good. I was so happy. And I went to public school and I had the best. Oh my God. The best time. And I already knew some kids that were going to the public school that I was going to. I went 1 year for 5th grade in public school, and then I automatically went to middle school, also a public school. And but it was funny because I just remember the teachers were so sweet, and I had this one teacher, and every morning before we did any like academic classes, he had an upright piano in his room, and so we played "Fly Me to the Moon," and we played a lot of Frank Sinatra songs, and it was just so fun and so warming, and obviously in the classes there was like 40 kids and not like 10, 15, 20 kids, so you got to like really make a lot of friends. And then I moved districts to a different school for middle school, and that was mainly for the music part of it. And I had an incredible, oh my God, he's my favorite classical music teacher. He actually went to USC, and just so great. And I remember I was like auditioning very intensely to get into the top orchestra in middle school, and out of two 6th graders, I was one of them, and I got into the top orchestra. And to me at the time, that was like a big deal. But I remember because I wasn't really living in the district, I had to really kind of shut myself down socially, which was really something that I was sad about, because I'm very much of a extrovert social person. And it was great that I had the friends that I did from the music school, where we were doing the Hillary Clinton concession speech thing, and they were going to the same middle school. So I had them, and they were the only people that knew where I lived and whatnot. But anyways, I love public school. I love the music teachers in public school. Sounds like you were free to be
as creative as you wanted to be.
Oh my God.
Met some mentors.
Amazing.
Okay. Love hearing that.
That
Loved
is great.
Public school.
And also, I guess it prepared you too, because it was competitive. Yeah. There were so many kids. That actually forces you to up your game a little bit when the school's a little bit bigger. Oh, you don't automatically know I'm going to be first chair because I'm the only chair, whatever,
No, you know, true. I had to compete against the 7th graders and 8th graders, and I kind of learned about more healthy competition instead of like beating each other up.
That's interesting.
But I loved it.
Amy, do you have a question?
Okay. I'm so enjoying listening to you two. You're such a fun and creative mother-daughter duo. I also have 2 daughters who I love to have adventures with. And so my question is, would y'all have like a dream getaway, some sort of mother-daughter vacation? Or
I like that.
Somewhere. It sounds like you've traveled plenty. But is there
I feel like 2 different opinions are coming on this one, Amy.
Yes, I can't wait to hear this answer.
Well, I mean, if it was just us, I feel like... Oh my God. I feel like we really need to go to a spa. That's like, we talk about going to Baccara.
Let's go to a spa in, Italy.
Yeah. We need to go visit our family there anyway, so.
I could see you two in Paris.
Yeah, we could go to Paris. Let's go to Paris.
You remember? Like, you're like, I want to go to Paris, and hopefully one day you will too. And I'm like, when?
You know what? We have so much fun when we do stuff together. She's so much fun to do things with because she is such an extrovert that I end up meeting people I would never meet, and super fun, super easy to travel with and stuff. We have traveled a bit together and gone to a lot of places together, but I think Iceland would be fun.
Okay.
Right? Maybe some of those like thermal spas.
Oh, the ones in like
and the Northern Lights.
That would be so pretty. That would be cool. I love that idea. I mean, I feel like we talked about going to spas. My favorite, if we had a getaway, I'd say my favorite getaway, if you call this a getaway, we went to the Grammys last year.
I was just about to ask, where does it fit in your life this Sunday?
It was crazy. And my dad was not at the ceremony. He was getting food because we couldn't eat for like the amount of hours that we were at the Grammys. It was crazy. And so I remember she just got her Grammy and I had a video that was going ballistic on social media. It was crazy because I just didn't know I knew how to deal with it, but it was just like so surreal. Like, is life even real? And I remember we were just sitting at our seats for the televised version of the Grammys. We were watching Stevie Wonder and Harry Styles, like literally all of our favorite artists of that year. And then going to see them live was such a blessing.
That's an incredible share together.
So fun.
Yeah.
And we were looking at each other and we were like, I think we did this.
I think it's happening.
So when they announced my name, she goes, "That's my mom!" And I was like, "Oh, it's so sweet." Yeah. And of course, it's just such a blessing, and so it's such a miracle to have that happen. I mean, all these things need to align really.
The funny part about that is them announcing your name, and she's like, "That's my mom," and the funny part is that having her is really the greatest role.
Absolutely.
They can say your name, but having a child is really, it's something that is, and I know this sounds cheesy and but I mean, to your mom, for you to say that like that, like that's the gift.
That's the biggest gift you can get, even bigger than a Grammy, believe it or not.
Have your
kids say that is amazing.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So that is. Although getting Grammys is great too. I'm not going to knock that.
Not a bad thing. Not a bad thing.
Well, we have so enjoyed this. And tell us what's your next project, Starr, and where can we find you on social media?
Oh, okay. Social media. What's my Instagram?
I don't know.
I think it's Instagram is Starr Starr.Parodi, Parodi.
Yeah.
And then I'm on Facebook as well. It's Starr Parodi.
Yes.
And
oh my gosh.
You're so proud of it.
You're so proud.
I'm very proud that she decided to go on social media.
No,
That's a whole other story.
I actually I'm really excited. Well, I don't know if you guys probably people not from LA don't know about this, but there's a thing called the Laguna Pageant of the Masters. It's a really cool thing. So I just got my assignment to write for the orchestra for that this year. And it's actually this year's is all about fashion. So it's going to be really fun. I'm going to start writing for that probably later today. And I also have a commission from an orchestra in Houston, which I'm really excited about.
You're coming to Texas.
And I'm producing 3 different projects coming up too.
Oh wow,
I've got a lot of plates spinning.
Very busy,
really
very busy lady.
That's amazing.
Exciting stuff.
And you have Strip Away coming out.
Yeah. So my project wise, I have Strip Away coming out, which it was a single that I created actually around a year ago. That was like a 3 a.m. moment where I was like, oh, I don't know whether this is going to be good. And then I remember I started learning how to create my own production for songs, and I brought it to a friend, and he really helped me enhance that. And then I kind of reproduced some stuff, and it was definitely a collaborative effort. And so my manager and I have really been prepping it, getting it to be released, and we have a whole team behind it now. I'm really excited.
That is great. And where can they find you on social media?
So they can find me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is Isolde Fair. It's ISOLDE and then FAIRR. And in big letters, it'll say Mozart Girl.
You were right, Monica.
Very fitting,
so
very
right.
Fitting.
And then on Spotify, it's just Isolde Fair, ISOLDE FAIR.
Great.
Well, I encourage everybody to listen to your voice. I mean, it's really angelic.
Thank you.
I mean, just all of their work. You can listen to them on YouTube or, on any platform.
Any platform.
They're great. They're absolutely great. And you can find us on Instagram and TikTok and wherever at Inside the Moms Club. And check out our YouTube page. Subscribe to our YouTube page where you can see these shows. Live, not live. You can see these shows. The recording of these shows, the video, you're going to see us in person doing all of the Inside the Moms Club shows, which is a lot of fun. And of course, on all our podcast platforms. So I can't believe this has gone by so fast.
It's been so fun. And to see you guys be so normal, like a mother-daughter, like that's not right. No, that's
you remind me of my son. Yeah, I should introduce you.
Actually
available. Joking. Anyway, and that is our motto, actually.
That's right.
What's our motto? If you don't laugh sometimes, moms,
you're gonna cry.
So we want to keep you laughing. Join us next time inside the Moms Club.